Trust so much. 54 interviews coming through, sharing stories just for you. Learn from those their journey bright.
Okay, wonderful.
Hi.
Hi guys, nice to meet you.
Hi, you too.
Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
Wendy. Nice to meet you.
So good day, everyone. We are so happy to have you with us today. I am Melissa, and you already know Dimitri, Alexia, and Valentina, the team behind Cotton Candy Life is Sweet, a project dedicated to making dreams come true by exploring different career paths and helping people discover their passion. As part of this journey, 52 interviews in 52 weeks, well, we have today our seventh interviewee, introducing Wendy, who started Orthopedics Plus Ltd and an orthopedic device store in 1993 and sold 20 years later in 2021. So she's a former business owner with lots of experience.
Yes, I am. Actually, 29 years we were open for. A little bit about Orthopedics Plus. So when we started our business, Paul and I, of course, owned it together. And he worked at the hospital as an orthopedic tech. And the doctors there actually felt that we were in need of orthopedic devices. So I was laid off from a banking job of 11 years, which actually was good to help me with this business. So I knew the banking side of it, but then I had to learn the business side of it. So we actually had to do up a business plan. We had to go to banks. Unfortunately, no bank would help us. So we did it on our own. We opened up in September of 1993, and the business was successful. I'd say the first 5 years was just work. And then after that, we just slowly climbed, which to me is a good way when you're in business. Because if you go too fast, sometimes you crash. And then if you go too slow, sometimes you just don't make it either. So we were kind of that in between. And in 2021, after 29 years of business, we had a gentleman offer to purchase and everything fell into place. They are still running the business. It's still successful in St. John, and great place to go for any medical needs. Orthopedic needs, I should say.
Yes. Could you share with us, Wendy, an example of the logistics, or what do you need to know for like a project from start to end? Any project that you love the most?
Well, you know what? I love the whole thing because being in control of your own business. When I worked at the bank, we learned customer service, which is so important. In today's world, unfortunately, the customer service is not there like it used to be, and it's very important to have that. So when we started the business, when we realized no bank was going to help us, and we did it on our own, and we bought small bits of product at first, and as things got a little bit better, we filled our store a little bit more and then more. Now, I had no experience, so I had to study, learn, take courses. My husband, on the other hand, he's an orthopedic tech at the time, so of course he knew all about it. So what we were selling were medical devices, so ankle braces, knee braces, back braces, arm braces, things like that, walking aids. So the doctors would prescribe to the patient what they needed, and then the patient would come to us and we would fulfill whatever they needed. So these are things that you would not receive in hospital, so not covered by Medicare, but covered by personal insurance.
Wow. So now we'll introduce ourselves, I guess. So my name is Valentina, and this is my brother Alexi.
Yeah.
As my mom said, yeah, she introduced all of us. But so we've run Candies Life is Sweet for about 4 years now, and it's gone pretty well.
That's amazing.
We've gone
So
further than we thought in 4 years, and well, it's going pretty good. And we didn't think that we would be interviewing people. We never thought that we would, but we're glad we
Here
are.
you are. It's a fantastic project. When your mom was telling me about it, I was like, this is amazing. Amazing. You're going to learn so much with so many different people. Hats off to you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you have some questions for me?
Well, I do have a question. Well, my first question is, well, what is your rate? Well, in your role, or well, when you did,
Casserole, yes.
yeah. What did your daily like I know it might have changed now and then because you were the ones that ran it,
Yep.
but what was your daily like schedule or routine you had to follow in the store in your
Oh.
role?
For sure. So we were Monday to Friday business, and I was considered the office manager. So I took care of all the staff. I took care of all the invoicing and billing, balancing books, and also tending to the clientele that came into the store. So I too would fit braces, order things, accept things when they came in. So the business was never dull. It was always a different story every time. And we just, I'm a very organized person. So whenever I brought new staff in, I would teach them to be organized as well. Because the more organized you are in a business, which you're probably finding with your own business, the better off you are. And the more, let's say the word honest with your accounting, the better off as well. Because in my level where I was, the government could come in at any time and audit your company to make sure everything was above board. So I made it very clear to my staff, no loopholes, no supercuts, you follow along properly. But more than anything, I will tell you, customer service for us was the number one thing, and everything else came behind that.
Yeah.
And even today, so it's been 3 years since we sold our business, but I'm very close with the people that had bought it.
Mhm.
Well, not the actual owner, but the staff. And it's running pretty much the same. Their accounting system is a bit different, but besides that, they seem to be running pretty much the same as what the protocol that we kind of went along with.
Mm.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
And I even shoveled driveways and walkways. I
Wow.
did it all.
Yeah. So I have a question too. So as you were opening your business, what were like some difficult things in finding people to work for you, or what were like the difficult things that you had to face?
Okay, the most difficult thing in owning a business is staffing, especially in today's world, because unfortunately, this age group, they don't want to work. They want a paycheck, but they don't want to come in and work for it. Or they come in and 2 days later, they just don't show up. So the most difficult part of running any business, I believe, in today's world is staffing. And when you do get staff that will commit, so the girl that works there now, she worked with us for 24 years out of 29 years.
Wow.
Now she's 3 years in with so she is a star employee in my world. So, but what I also believe is you need to respect your employees to get respect back.
Mhm.
You need to honor them and let them know all the time when they're doing a good job. And when they're not doing a good job, you have to use constructive criticism instead of just coming down on them. So that's very important. I found anyway with this business. So I had people other than this lady that was with us for 24 years. I think the next longest was a 6-year run. So we had a few staff that were 6 years. But that to me is the most difficult part of owning a business.
Mhm. Well, and my next is, so what skills have you, were the most valuable, you'd say, that you've learned during your career? And are there any skills you wish you'd learned earlier or developed earlier?
Okay, so that question, I'll just quickly say again, the skill of customer service, most important. And if your staff doesn't have it, teach it.
Mhm.
Truly important. Then the other skill for me was I had no secondary schooling. So I had grade 12. I had to learn about every brace inside and out. I had to know my facts. I had to learn about the bones in the body and the name of the bones in the body, along with running the business. So I had a little bit extra work to do. Whereas Paul, because he was an orthopedic technologist, he actually knew how to do all these things. But for me, it was big learning curve, but I did it. But I also would say in your own business, every day is a learning day. You always learn something new. And I always said, if you don't learn something new, you missed out on that day. And it's important to be open-minded, and it's important to accept change, because a lot of people get kind of in a bit of a rut, and then you throw change at them, maybe a new accounting system or maybe new products that they have to learn, and they're like, oh, I don't wanna, but it's part of the job. But at the same time, when your stuff, your customer feels confident with you, and then you'll have a repeat customer. Because if they come in and they feel that you don't know what you're talking about, they'll never come back. So knowledge, very, very important. So you have to know your product, whatever you're selling, you have to know it inside and out. You have to know how it works. In our case, how it goes on the body, how to teach the patient how to wear it. So those things for us were always very, very important. And you can apply those to almost any business. So like in the business that you're doing, if you don't know, let's say how much sugar is in something, right? And then someone's a diabetic and all of a sudden they have a diabetic attack. So even in your business, there's things that you need to know so that you can keep your customer wanting to come back because they know that you're confident and knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And well, before you started your orthopedic business, right? So it was something that came to mind, right? Because there was need for it.
Yes.
But how did you go through it? Because most people I find have ideas or great ideas.
Yeah.
They
and they don't know
don't
how to start it.
always follow with it or
Yes.
don't know where to start. So are there anything you recommend people do, or even for us, if they have an idea, how did you proceed with it and know, oh, this could be it? Or
Okay.
how did you
I
start?
have to give that credit to my husband, Paul, because he's the one that believed wholeheartedly when there were times that I would think, we can't do this. We can't afford this. We have 2 little kids. How is this possible? He always remained positive. And like I said, we had to do up a banking agenda and go to the bank. And he showed profits on this with years to come. And I'm looking at it thinking, these numbers, they're not going to work. 29 years later, everything he said that was going to happen came true. So he was really the fellow behind starting the business. Because I accepted or had a layoff, not accepted, but was forced to lay off, threw us into this business. And because I knew my customer service already and I was willing to learn, and then we just kind of rolled from there. But if you had seen the shelves in our store, the first year, it was barren. And now today, or the day we sold it, we were looking for room to put it. And we actually moved our business after the first 9 years. We actually bought a building and we transferred the business to the building, which came with new things like shoveling in the winter and, making sure all the outside of the building was up to par. Nobody was going to trip or fall or things like that. So that was added to our stress. But at the same time, it is stressful at times. I'm sure it is for you too when you do your business, but you really, truly, you have to remain positive and you have to work hard. There's the 2 things right there.
Wendy, I have a question as well. If you would start this business tomorrow, what would you do differently? Let's say you're starting from scratch tomorrow, the same thing.
Right.
What mistakes or what you would start like doing differently? What kind of?
That's a really great question. And I don't think I would do anything differently. We did okay.
Like, oh, I would know.
Like, other than, like I said, the hardest part of the whole thing was staffing. So if there was a way to hire staff that would work better than today or back then,
so
that would be the change.
Staffing is the challenge. Yeah.
That's the challenge. Other than that, really and truly, I feel that the way we did it worked for us. Like, we could have went bigger. We could have bought a bigger building. We could have brought, say, a doctor on board or a physio.
Have you thought about franchise, to do like a franchise?
And we actually did franchise. I wouldn't say franchise. We actually had a second store open in Fredericton. Wow. We had a fellow that we knew that asked us to be a partner. So we used the same name and everything, and he's still going strong in Fredericton. So we worked with him so we worked with him for a couple of years, and then he bought us out in Fredericton, so it's completely his. So it wasn't really a franchise, but we did get the second store open. But we could have gone bigger, but truly, I felt in all the 29 years our customers were number one. And when you go bigger, sometimes they're left in the dust and never wanted that. So we had people that actually would become friends just by coming in as customers.
Sometimes
Yeah.
bigger doesn't mean better, right?
That's right.
Yeah, this is the
That's
case.
right.
Yeah.
And I feel we stayed small. And I think because of that, we were also successful.
Mhm.
And that's nice to be able to say, you know, even when you sell it, our business was successful. My husband knew it was going to be, he knew it. He had business plan was the word I was looking for. He did the business plan. He had the numbers. I didn't believe in those numbers. And in the end, it all happened. And nobody helped us. We did it on our own.
Wow,
Like no bank helped us. We had no partners, and there was no money from anywhere. We started very, very small, and then we grew. He didn't even take a paycheck, I think, it was after the first 5 years.
Mm.
Now I did because I had to work, but my staff always got paid first.
Mhm.
Then products get paid second, and then I would get paid third. So as a business owner, you have to be prepared. If things aren't going well, you may have to not get a paycheck.
Mhm.
But so it's important to put your staff first, your product second, and then yourself last.
And when you were like a kid, when you were younger, did
Mhm.
you see yourself doing this?
No, you know what I want to be? I want to be a police officer.
Oh,
And I actually tried, and I couldn't lift 110 pounds over my head, and I only weighed 110 pounds at the time. But I could pass everything else. I passed all the tests. I just couldn't do that part of the physical. So then, I got a job full time, and I was working, and then this happened. It all kind of fell into place. When people tell you when a door closes, a window will open, it's the truth. So if you're in a position where you're laid off or you lose your business, instead of being disheartened by it all, you have to say, okay, the door has closed. There's got to be an open window somewhere. And I'm going to find it, and I'm going to start again. And a true entrepreneur will always start again. Those that are not true, they'll just give it up and walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there must have been times when you were lost, right? So
Yes.
how did you deal with that? Because there might have been days, or even for us, like, okay, like if it ever got overwhelming, or
Mhm.
okay, well, I don't know what to do. We have to work on something, but I don't know how to work on it, or what? How do you discover that?
Okay, there were some overwhelming times, very much. I was a mother of 2 little kids. You had that to consider. But if it got to that point, usually Paul and I would just bang ideas off one another. And if he was overwhelmed, I would talk him off the ledge. If I was overwhelmed, he'd talk me off the ledge. So I think it was really important that we had that with each other. And not everybody has that. So I think that was probably the way we got through it. The one thing owning this business did do for me is I was able to attend many things through my kids' schooling as the years went on, because I was a business owner. Whereas when I worked in the bank, the answer was no, you can't have 2 hours off to go watch your child's Christmas concert. So when my staff would come to me and say, I need to go, absolutely, you have to be there for your kids. So those were important things that the business gave us. It also gave us some traveling, because we got to go to production areas where braces were made, California, for instance. So they would fly us there. We'd go through their company and see how things were actually built. So then when you're selling them to your client, you saw them being built from scratch. So that was kind of an added bonus that you could explain to people.
So, well, thank you so much, Wendy, for being here with us today.
You're very welcome.
It was a really interesting topic to talk about. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I think at your age that you've already started a little business, I think you two are going to fly. And I think mom and dad, you're on the right track for sure. Yes. So anytime.
Yeah, well, thanks so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
And well, thank you, Wendy, for joining us today. And we thank everyone for watching this, or may watch other videos of other previous videos. And this was our 6th interview of our 52-week challenge.
That's
so
awesome.
stay tuned for the rest that will come. And as always, have a sweet day, everybody. Thanks so much.
You guys as well. Thank you so much.
Life is sweet and never bland.